Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Bow, bow, bow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney. So what? And who are you?
And who might you be? And how are you today?
That's good to hear. Or not good to hear. We just don't know what you said.
Maybe not, depending on how you responded. Yeah. It's a Friday morning episode. It goes out on Thursday evening if you are IFS. We're just duty bound to mention that. It's also another one of them ones that we're recording to bung up on YouTube. So if you want to watch how this looks,
how it goes down, it's what is it? YouTube/Top Flight Time Machine.
A couple of fellas with heads like fucking melons wanging on your phone or even on your telly, on your massive telly, if you want to do it like that. That sounds even more disturbing, but go for it.
In a cinema screening room.
See and hear us. Yeah. I don't agree with it myself, but we're giving it a go. There you go. What have we got to talk about on today's... Oh, there was an email which contained a line which I thought was possibly worth delving into. See what you think, Sam. It includes the line, "My dad can also be a difficult and imposing man."
Yes, I saw this. Yeah, this is worth a quick look.
You think it's worth listening to based just on that line?
Yeah. Certainly I feel like it's something I could relate to.
Yeah. Dad content. It's from Julian Nauman, email entitled Celebrity Tradesman, Dad Edition. And this is what we asked for recently. Have any of you done any trades work for a celebrity? You can tell us who they are. Don't tell us who they are. It's fine. Julia says, "My dad has worked as a builder in an area where many celebrities have second homes. My dad can also be a difficult and imposing man. This has led to many encounters between him and his clients, but my favourite involved him and an internationally famous fashion designer, since deceased." I'm thinking Karl Lagerfeld. Don't know about you.
It's got Lagerfeld written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Or Versace, perhaps. While working on the outside of the home, the designer's dog, according to my dad, was sneaking around and trying to bite his partner.
Yeah, he put that in quote marks because obviously he finds it amusing that his dad claimed that a dog was sneaking around. This fucking dog was sneaking around, wasn't he? It's quite a dad thing to claim about an animal.
I don't think I've seen a dog sneak around unless it's on a cartoon.
No.
But sneaking around in inverted commas and trying to bite his partner. Finally, the dog succeeded and nipped at his partner, at which point my dad turned around and began chasing the dog with his hammer. This got the attention of the gardening staff, who began chasing and pleading with my dad to stop his attempted hammer attack, which he eventually did. Eventually, being the key word there. My dad tells this story very nonchalantly, as if his actions were entirely reasonable. Word gets round, though. Word gets round tradespeople, doesn't it? You know.
That thing he's saying,
clients, like, rather.
His dad tells the story as if it's reasonable. My theory is that families, not all families, but a lot of families are like cults, right? And you're born into them. And it's the perfect cult because you're literally born into them. And so the attitudes and the behaviours that are like normalised around you so easily, right? And you can get to a very old age. Some people spend their whole lives just buying into it because what you learn in the home at a young age is what is forever considered to be like normal. And anything outside of that, it goes right back to the brand choices in many ways. Like, we had Crest, so I thought people who use Colgate were weird, right?
Yeah, we talked about it recently.
But the behaviour stuff, like, there are a million fucking stories that get bandied about in my family, for example, about things that people have done or said and are presented as hilarious or, you know, just a bit of a laugh or that was funny or that was weird, wasn't it, right? And you get to a stage where you get a bit older and you start to think, fuck, that thing that gets trotted out as like an amusing little fucking family story is an example, it might be, of someone behaving in a way that is 100% by anyone's standards unacceptable and toxic.
Yeah.
In some cases illegal, right? And yet it's always just sort of like reframed as fun. And different attitudes are like presented as sort of okay, and then it takes you a long time. And like I say, I think some people go through their whole lives being sucked into the cult of their family. And I'm not saying it's always wrong. I'm not saying like, oh, every family has some sort of like fucking sex ritual that they try to teach the kids is normal. Sometimes it's just little things, but they are cults. If you think of it, families are weird. Like there was a sketch, I can't remember who did it, so forgive me, where is it Chris Rock or someone? It's an American comic where he goes, you know, marriage is weird, where you're like, you started spending time with someone, you get along with them, you've had sex, and then you go, I really like you, I think we should make this more of a permanent thing, and that we sleep in the same bed with each other forever and never go around with anyone else ever. And then go, the other person would go, if marriage wasn't meant to, the other person goes, for how long? And you go, until we die.
Forever.
Until we die. Yeah. And even if I die first, you still have to be loyal to me until you die. It's a death pact, right? And so that's kind of weird. But families are weird. I'm not saying they're bad. I've not gone mental. I'm not going to rail against family values, Andy. You and I are traditional family men. But families are weird, aren't they? You all just sort of live with each other and set these sort of arbitrary rules for each other.
You know, I remember an early episode of Athletico Mince where I mentioned that I enjoyed eating buttered Weetabix.
Oh, yeah.
Which seemed to be like the most normal thing.
So it was normal,
It's been part of me upbringing forever. And Bob and most of the nation were appalled by this.
Yeah.
And I became briefly a pariah on social media and in real life.
Yeah.
But there you go. What can I do? I had it for my breakfast again this morning. You know,
you had buttered Weetabix. So he hasn't knocked you off. It didn't discourage you.
No.
Well, I admire you for that,
if
mate.
If anything, it's maybe want it more.
Don't let society...
I'll have it for lunch.
I mean, families are one thing, but society's even worse. You've got to get your pointers and your norms from your rules from somewhere, you know. And society, it's even worse place to look than your family.
There's not many people out there I want to look up to. People are generally awful. Which takes us on to something that I think you wanted to talk about. You were in the park the other day, weren't you?
I went to a park that when I was a kid was just it was a nice park. It's Chiswick Park. Anyone who's from around West London will know it. It's famous for a few things. One is like Hogarth, the artist, sort of had it's called Hogarth House, I think. Right. You know what? I'll get fucking pedants or something corrected. Straight away, I know this is the sort of thing that people are going to go, well, actually, let's just say there's a park called Chiswick Park, and the Beatles filmed a video in it as well. That's the other reason it's famous. But when we were kids, like, it was a park that you just, was quite a regular feature. It was good if it snowed. There was a good spot for going down on your sleds, and it was a park of the people, mate. It was a people's park.
Sounds good.
Yeah, nice park. I said to my mum the other day, it's so hot this week, it's been a nightmare, and I can't, honestly, it's affected me. I can't get any shit done. So I dropped my mum a text. I thought, I haven't seen my mum for a while. I said, do you fancy a walk in the park? I'll bring the dog. She went, all right. So we got there. She said, meet me at the cafe. And I walked and I met her at the cafe, and it was sunny, and there was a lot of people sitting outside, and it was a cafe that wasn't there. When I was there, it was like a disgusting old, like, kiosk that sold, like, watery tea.
Toilet.
Yeah, now they've got quite a chic-looking building with, like, luxury foodstuffs in it and flat whites and all the rest of it. Fine, fair enough. I haven't got a problem with that per se. But I sat down with my mum, and it was very crowded, and she was sat down outside on her own. And I said, I haven't been here for ages. It's changed a bit. I'm quite glad to be here, though. And my mum said quite loudly, yeah, it's full of cunts now. Right. And it was like there was a lot of people sitting around, and there was a couple of heads turned. And she's like, I used to come here with you kids when you were little, and it was lovely, and you'd speak to everyone, you'd bump into people you know. Now the only people who come here are middle-class Tory cunts. And unless they fucking know you or your kids go to school with their fucking kids, they'll fucking look away if you try to smite them. And I'm like thinking, yeah, look, I understand what you're saying, but for goodness sake, these people are all in earshot. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to start a riot. And she went, I said, oh, well,
Class war.
I said, that's a shame. I said, but look, you know, the cafe's nice at least. She went, no, it's not. There are cunts in there as well. And I said, why are they cunts? And she went, they just are. You wait. If you go in there, you'll know what I mean. Right? And I was like, oh. And she went, actually, as it happens, I did order you a coffee when you said you'd arrive. Because I texted her when I was at the gate. She went, I ordered you a coffee. And she went, but they're so annoying, I couldn't be bothered waiting for them to make it. So I said, when you make it, put it there on the counter. I'll come back in 5 minutes. Right? So I said, all right. And she went, I'll go and get it for you now. I went, no. You know, it's a hot day. You sit here. You look after the dog. I'll go and get it. So I walk into this cafe and I go, white Americano? And they just looked at me and just shrugged. They didn't even say anything, Candy. They went, and I went, white Americano. I'm supposed to be picking up a white Americano. They went, picking up a white Americano? I went, yeah, that's right. And they said, what do you mean? I said, what I mean is, and it did sound funny because it made me sound like a right little lampard. I went, my mum came in here a minute ago.
My mummy?
Yeah, it was like that. It went coming out of my mouth. It sounded funny. Like, even to me, as I said it sounded funny. I went, my mum's just been in here. I sounded like, what's his name from Dad's Army? Right, Pike. I went, my mum's just been in here and she bought me a coffee and she already paid for it. But she said it'll be ready now. And they said, well, we don't know anything about that. And I went, well, she's just out there. And I'm pointing out the window. Can you see her? And they're just shrugging like, no. And I went, listen, don't make me go and get her. She's nearly 80 years old. You're going to make me go and get her, bring her back, and what? Get a receipt to prove that I'm not coming in here. Right. I said, I'm a 48-year-old man. I said, I'm not coming in here to try and fucking blag a free coffee with some bullshit story about my fucking mum having already paid for it. I said, she bought the fucking coffee. So in the end, some fucking geezer comes out. This is just two women. They wanted to like mug me off. Some geezer comes out from the back. He's heard me. I was starting to cause a bit of a scene. I mean, you've seen me cause scenes before. Remember in Sheffield when I had to cause a scene?
Yes.
Right. It was
excellent. Yeah.
It wasn't quite as extreme as that. I hadn't yet shouted. What did I say? I hadn't shouted. Look, I know I'm not exactly Sam Fender, but I still want my coffee.
I thought it was George Ezra.
Or maybe George Ezra. I can't remember. Some pop star who I'd heard the name of, but wasn't quite sure who they were.
But don't know anything more about than that, yeah.
So it was hot, so that's why I was getting extra sort of like agitated. And this geezer walks out, but he doesn't address me. You would have thought he would have said, sorry, that was my fault. I forgot to make the coffee, but I'll get it for you now. He just walks out.
Is he the coffee man, is he?
I don't fucking know. I don't know whose job was what. But he comes out and he just addresses them and he goes, yeah, Americano. And they go, what? He goes, yeah, Americano, I'll make it, it's fine. Right? And I've looked at him like, are you not going to say to me sorry or anything like that? Coffee's supposed to be here. So he makes coffee and I thought, don't, you just got here. Calm down. The heat's getting to you. He's making your coffee now. Forget these cunts. But I'm thinking to myself, but my mum was right. They are cunts, right? Yeah. So they're waiting. And now I realise it was lunchtime and I hadn't really had anything to eat. But I don't know about you. When it gets really hot, you lose your appetite a bit, don't you? So I wasn't that hungry, but I thought I'd better eat something. So I looked at their counter and it's all artisan-y sort of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like handmade sandwiches with all sorts in. I wasn't hungry enough for that. But I saw they had sausage rolls and it said vegan sausage roll, right? Now I've had those from Greg's and the ones at Greg's are quite nice. But these ones
I like the ones from Greg's.
These ones were claiming even they were...
carnivore.
Yeah. They were claiming that they were a bit... I don't know. They claimed it had been handmade. And they looked all right, but they looked basically like the ones from Greg's. But because it was artisan, they were a bit more irregular in shape with slightly burnt bits at the corner. But fuck it, I thought I'll have one of those. Yeah, so I said...
I was going to say, was the other stuff they did, was it all like Rice Krispie cakes and things like that?
Yeah, all that shit. So I've said...
bits of like wheat sticking out of it.
I said, I'm waiting for him to make my coffee, belatedly. And I say to one of the grumpy women who'd already mugged me off, I go... I'll have a vegan sausage roll. And she said, would you like me to heat it up? I went, no, don't bother. I'll just eat it cold, right? And she's gone, okay. She stuck it in a bag, rung it up. Do you know how much it cost?
I'm going to make a guess, which isn't ludicrous, but which kind of is as well. I'm going to say £5.95.
It was £5.80, and it was.
Hey!
I would say it was centimeters. Like I would say it was 6 inches, 12 centimeters long, like the short ruler that you have at school that fits in your pencil case. That was the length, right? And it was all dry looking as well. And I just did a double take. I went £5.80, right? Now you got to bear in mind what my mum had said was true. This place is full of like really posh snobby cunts, right? Everyone's posing. Everyone's just, I don't know, you just got strong cunt vibes. But again, I have to say it was hot.
Yeah.
It doesn't reflect well on me that I've decided everyone was a cunt, but I was just in that mood. My mum had wound me up about it. And I just went, £5.80.
But all the evidence that presented to you suggested that that was an accurate assessment. So
I said, £5.80. They went, yeah, that's right. And she looked at me as if, like, challenging me, like, yeah, oh, what, got a problem in paying £5.80? And to be honest, I don't want to sound a snob myself, but I don't know why they give you all that in places like that. Because it's like, well, you're working in a cafe. I'm not slagging that line of work off by any means, right? But don't pretend to me that you think it's a reasonable price, right? Unless you're some sort of tech fucking millionaire, right? No one thinks that that's a reasonable price. You don't think it's a reasonable price. You can't do. But they were trying to make out to me that I was being some sort of either tight ass or pedant or maybe like even a loser. Oh, are you a bit poor? Can't you afford £5.80 on a fucking sausage roll?
Yeah.
I'm like, no cunt can afford £5.80 on a fucking sausage roll. Do you know what I mean? On a vegan, sort of meatless fucking roll. So I've gone, I'm not paying that. And she was like, huh, well, that's how much it costs. I said, well, I don't want it then. Forget it. And she goes, do you want something else? And I went, no, I don't. And I picked up my coffee and stomped out with it, right? But the thing that I liked about it was, and I think I've talked about this before, is that sometimes you just got to fucking call this shit out. And people don't, especially in that environment, because they think, I don't want to come across as a bit poor, right? I couldn't give a fuck about that. I was fucking fuming. They'd tried to fucking make out already that I'd tried to scam a fucking white coffee off of them, right? By making up a cock and bull story about my mother. And then they tried to charge me £5.80. I was fucking fuming. So I go back out and I go to my mum, you're right, everyone here is a cunt, let's go. So we started walking, and all the way around she was ranting about, like, yeah, I used to come here, I came here in the 70s with you boys when you were little, and the blah, blah, blah.
People's Park.
Yeah, the People's Park. And she was fuming, and she was saying a lot of things that I can't actually repeat because they were too rude.
Wow.
But
Too rude for this podcast.
Yeah, just sort of old-fashioned. Nothing racist. She's not a racist.
Yeah,
she's many
just
things.
slightly
She's actually quite sexist, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, she is a bit.
What, against women?
Yeah, she is a little bit. She's got old. She's a big believer that women should be women, right? And she doesn't like.
She used to enjoy getting sort of smacked on the arse when she
all
worked
that. She was telling me a story about that the other day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she revealed to me that she'd once worked at a pharmacy. And I was like, I don't remember that. She went, it was before you were born, and I don't bring it up because of all that trouble you had. But you know what she told me? She told me she only worked there for like a few months, and she said that the pharmacist used to smack her on the arse. And I went, yeah, fucking figures as well. Yeah. She was like, oh, you just had to take it.
Let's not go too far and, reignite all fires here.
I don't want to stir that up.
You've made your point there. Yeah,
but
I empathise.
So there was a lot of things she was saying, and then at the end, I went, there's a school opposite, right? And I go, oh, I was here. I said, I came past here the other day on another walk, and they had the car boot there. First of every month, they have a car boot at this school, right? And I think it was the day up. It was the day before you texted me and you were at a car boot, and I'd seen this car boot.
Another midweek car boot then?
No, it wasn't. It can't have been a midweek. It was a Sunday.
Right.
It was Sunday. It's the first Sunday. Oh, okay. So on the Sunday, and I go to my wife, we're walking the dog, and we were like, fucking bingo, it's the car boot. I said, let's go in there. And we were really excited because it's a really good car boot. And there was two sort of older people, I'd say probably 60s, early 70s. Again, quite posh, on the gate. And we walk up and they go, £1, because I just tried to walk in, right? I forget that you have to pay, I don't know if it's true, but you have to pay for £1 access to the car boot.
Shouted like that, though.
£1. And I go, I haven't got any cash. Do you take touch? And they scoffed, right? And I thought, hang on a minute. No one carries cash anymore. I bet half the fucking sellers in this car boot have got one of those little white square things that you tap your card against.
Well,
anyway,
I'm sorry, but I'd say
Yeah.
I'd say if you go into a car boot, you need to have cash.
Yeah, I know. That's fair. And if I'd planned it, I would have done.
But it was an impromptu.
It was impromptu. It was totally impromptu.
Upon this car boot
I didn't
sale,
go out with
you weren't
walking.
prepared.
I don't tend to go out with walking around money as much as I used to. But
You
before,
didn't have cargo shorts on with folded up carrier bags in the big side pockets,
No.
ready for putting your booty in. That
no,
you
but
bought.
funny you should
Like
say
some of us
that.
do.
I do that with my combat trousers for dog shit bags. That's where I keep my dog shit bags in
Yeah.
my side pockets.
Oh, mine's in the back pocket. Yeah.
So I said, before I could get into it about that, they've gone, anyway, it makes no difference because we have no dogs. I went, no dogs? What? And they went, no dogs at this car boot. But you know, like it was like the same people in the cafe. Some people relish fucking with you. Do you know what I mean? And they were like,
Yeah.
They was like, it doesn't matter if you've got cash or not. You can't bring a dog in here. I mean, you can't bring a dog in a car boot. They went, no. As if I'd said, what? You can't bring a fucking grenade into a fucking orphanage. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it's not that fucking weird to bring a dog into a car boot.
Carnage. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was a bit annoyed by that. I told my mum this story, right? Again, the car boot's been going for years, so it's another thing she can go, wow, that car boot used to be the people's car boot. Now it's full of cunts.
For the people.
Yeah. And she's gone,
People
they said
selling vegan
what?
sausage rolls for £6.
I said, they said, cash only and no dogs. And she said, say that again. And I went, they said cash only and no dogs. And she went, oh, piss on them. And I said, I'm sorry. She went, piss on them. And I went, I've never heard that one before. What do you mean? Who should piss on them? She went, you or the dog. She went, either way, they want pissing on. And then she just went off and got on the bus up the high road.
Yeah. See you later. TTFN, dickhead.
Yeah, it cheered me up though, I must admit. Sometimes I go and see my mum and it cheers me up because she's entertaining.
Yeah,
but I just thought that was a good phrase that I'm going to start using when anyone wrongs you. Piss on them.
Piss on them. Did I tell you about the cheese toastie I bought at the Edinburgh Festival
No.
a couple of weeks ago? Ham and cheese toastie. How much? Let's play the guessing game again.
You say it was in Edinburgh. What, more than
During
the
the
vegan
festival,
sausage roll? Don't tell me it was £7. 7?
£8.
Eight fucking quid. At what stage did you
for a ham and
find out?
cheese toastie.
At what stage did you find out that it was £8?
I was a captive audience. It was in the Pleasance Courtyard where they have
Yeah, I
lots of
know it,
shows
yeah.
on, but there's like some bars.
Yeah,
it was
lovely.
in there, and I was hungry. I'd had some beers.
Yeah.
I needed something to eat. And when I saw it, I really fancied a ham and cheese toastie. when
Yeah,
I saw the
sometimes
van,
you
but
do.
£8. And I stood and watched them while they made it, because obviously it takes a few minutes to make a ham and cheese toastie. And at one point, his assistant, the toastie chef, who incidentally was dancing while he was making the toastie.
Maybe that's what you
some
pay the
kind of
extra for
artistic
the
fucking
novelty.
endeavour. Dancing all the way to the fucking bank, more
Yeah,
like
of course
Sam.
he fucking was.
His assistant opened up a new bag of sliced white bread, which is what they were using, just sliced white, not
Yeah.
even branded. I don't know where it was from.
Yeah.
Some catering company or something. And she took the crust slice and she cut off the crusty bit off the side to use the crust slice as a legitimate toasty slice. And I
What?
thought, how much
What?
profiteering.
And that was
Yeah,
your sandwich.
It wasn't in mine. Mine was already on the go. This was some other pro cunts.
You're gonna at
And I
least want a
thought,
discount if you accept that at all.
What? Well, eventually the toastie came. It came in a paper bag, cut into 2 triangle slices. Fair enough. I picked it up, bit into it. Didn't taste quite right. looked underneath, and it was completely burnt on the underside.
Oh my God.
He burnt it. He put it in the bag. He thought, that'll do. He'll be all right with that. He'll not notice.
He won't notice that till it's too late and he's taken a big fucking bite out of it.
Daft bastard's paying £8 for a cheese toast. He don't care about anything, does he?
By which stage, once he's taken a bite out of it, legally, he's got no fucking rights. And that's true.
He's the owner of
That's sandwich law. Once you've taken one bite...
Scotland sandwich law.
That's Scottish sandwich law, right? That was a law passed in Holyrood, right? And if you... Once the mouthful is in and you've crunched fully through, the teeth have to have gone right through... After that, you've basically waived all rights to compensation. So
apparently, it's like their house purchase rules are different up there as well. It's based on a similar principle.
They have a different education system as well.
I just went back to the counter. I just held up the burnt toasty sandwich, and just went, nah. He went, I'll do you another one. He said,
maybe that was another dance move. Maybe he was about to do like some other dance move.
Yeah, he did a dance of contrition. He did like the moonwalk of contrition. How much would that sandwich have cost to make? What, 2 slices of sliced white bread? How many slices in a loaf? 20?
Yeah.
Probably. So 2 of them, loaf's going to be £1. 10p for the bread.
Yeah.
The cheddar was mature. I don't know if that costs more.
It does. Definitely costs more, yeah.
It does. Oh, well, some grated mature cheddar will have been about... maybe 20, 30 pence. A couple of bits of sliced ham, bog standard ham.
Yeah, I mean,
70 pence.
What part
We're
of
looking
it
at £1.
was it sold out of a van that looked a bit trendy and like vintage? Yeah, so that's that's how they're justifying the extra money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
the
cost of living crisis is fucking real, mate. I just got a fucking.
Some people are just powering through it.
Yeah.
Just
well, those cunts are trying to. Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying to say, well, we've got to pass the costs on. Cheese is up, bread is up, ham is up. Like, fuck it, it's not that much up.
Tell you what's not up, the price of a subscription to the Iron Filing Society.
We are
Those prices have not
unaffected.
risen
We are unaffected by inflation, and that is we're calling it the triple lock. We're calling it the triple lock guarantee. These prices will not rise, at least not anytime soon.
It's going to be in the budget next year.
Podcasting's inflation proof,
as is the IFS.
Podcasting's inflation proof because it's considered an essential by the government.
Talk about The Sopranos again, which we've both been watching recently. There's a bit where Silvio says to, I think it might be to Paulie, someone says to Silvio, what 2 industries are recession proof? And Silvio says, certain aspects of show business and this thing of ours. What? Certain aspects of show business. Elaborate, please. What does that mean? Brilliant.
Love it. Yeah, Silvio's very good. He's not quite as funny as Paulie Walnuts, but he's a close second.
No, Paulie is the best.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I was going to tell you something else about prices, but I can't remember now. What was it about your sandwich in Edinburgh? Nah, I can't remember. Fuck it. It'll come up next time, I'm
toasty,
sure. Yeah.
Something like that. Just people in general are just quite annoying at the minute. I don't know, are people getting worse?
Yeah, people seem to be getting worse. It's the weather and everyone's skin. This fucking, the car tax demand came through today, and like I swear they fucking doubled the price of car tax, mate.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my son's trying to get in the house and I think he's trapped outside.
Let's wrap it up. It's almost home time. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, it is. Thanks everyone for listening to this podcast. We'll do the predictions offline and put them on the Twitter, and we'll be back after the week. Have a good weekend, everyone. Hope the weather holds up and all that. Yeah, lovely. Thanks very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.